Hey everyone, happy Tuesday to everybody. We are here live with the Kramer Corner and joining us all the way from, I guess you're over in Peru, is that correct, Charlie?
Yes, Lima, Peru.
Charlie Parra is with us, Kramer artist, guitarist extraordinaire. It's very nice to have you here. And we had some technical difficulties earlier this evening. We got them kind of worked out. But hey, I got to see you at Winter NAMM about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whenever it was now. And I did not know much about you other than being a Kramer artist at the time. And I have to say, you were not what I expected. I expected just to be complete shred fest and one of those things where it's like, arpeggios from start to finish all day long. And it was very tasty, and I was very, very impressed with your performance.
Oh, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I truly do.
It was great because, when you're at NAMM, as you know, too, walking through NAMM, all you hear is the Guitar Center solos all day long. Everywhere you go, it's shred, 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 shred. I love it. And don't get me wrong, but the ears can only take so much of it, right?
Yeah, me too. I actually I'm a big fan of shredding, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Let me say just something in Spanish, a little something in Spanish. Amigos, voy a hablar en inglés. Toda la entrevista, así que cualquier preguntita la ponen en el chat. Well, actually, I'm a big fan of shredding. If I have to choose like a shredder that I like how he shreds, just shredding,
Mm-hmm.
I would say like I like Michelangelo Baggio.
Okay.
I think that he's like a shredder. That's what he does. That's like a speed guitar, like speed kills, speed leaves. That's what he's doing, right? And but definitely I like to put like this balance on guitar players. It's like my other favorite guitar players are Slash and Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads too. It's a pretty like an 80s kind of influences. But the thing is that what you just said really made me really happy, because you just said that it was tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually most of the stuff that I'm doing is like arpeggios. It's like I only know probably 3 licks. It's like arpeggios and pentatonic stuff, and and once in a while a bluesy thing. But I try to keep like a balance, because I've heard a lot of guitar players from my generation that have dedicated their entire life to be like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a big fan of it. But it's like something like excessive. I don't think it's that cool. First, because I don't think it sounds really nice, and besides, you might hurt your fingers if you do that for 5 minutes in a row. But that's something that I think pretty much there's this debate of guitar players of my generation, or my friends, or the people I grew up with. There are the guys that are pretty much into really slow guitar solos, really emotional and everything. There are the guys that are into fast guitar, speed guitar, and there are the guys that are into fusion, jazz fusion, and all this stuff that has become really popular actually lately, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So it's like everybody's debating about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little comparison. And while I tell you the story here, can I get you just to tip your camera down towards you a little bit more, maybe towards your chest a bit more, just a bit more, so I can get your head in the shot a bit
Okay.
more. Yeah, that's getting better for sure. So what I like about the
All
way
right. Nice.
the way you said this when you talked about always shredding, like there's nothing wrong with that, and there's people that do it really well, like the Yngwie Malmsteens, and there's a million other people that can do it. But I like to look at it too like a race car taking a Porsche or a Ferrari through a winding mountain road. It's nice to take a Ferrari at about 180 miles an hour, but it's also nice to go around those winding roads and slow down to 5-10 miles an hour on a corner and then just floor it again. And you have to be able to know how to tie it from start to finish. And like you do with your guitar playing, you did that one video the other day. I shared it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a minute-long video, and it was 10 of the 80s riffs in 1 minute. And you went from everything from typical Eddie Van Halen to Slash to arpeggios. And not too many guys can tie that all together and still make it sound like, I keep using the word tasty, but you made it very tasty.
Oh, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I really dig the fact that that you enjoyed this kind of 80s style guitar, because I pretty much believe that it's like an opinion that I have, but I believe that the 80s was probably the decade where the pyrotechnics of guitar exploded, right?
I agree.
Like it's like post Eddie Van Halen in the 70s. I have a lot of books, actually a lot of books about guitar from the 70s and 80s. And they talk about how much Eddie Van Halen and Malmsteen changed everything for a lot of people, and what would happen if Randy Rhoads was never in that accident, and stuff like that. Like when the guitar stopped being just pentatonic.
That's right.
Like it started to explore a lot of different sounds and techniques and everything.
Speaking of pentatonic, do you follow Oz Noy at all? Do you follow his playing?
Who?
Oz Noy?
I
fusion?
don't know. Maybe the pronoun. Maybe if I see the name if I read it, maybe yes. But
no problem. But he does a lot of fusion stuff. But I was watching a video the other day where he took simple pentatonic scales and made them sexy. Basically by kind of like even a step further than what Paul Gilbert does. Paul Gilbert's one of my heroes as well too. But it's
nice.
instead of just putting on a metronome and doing a simple pentatonic riff, he was actually kind of like skit scat with a pentatonic scale. And it's so cool just to see how something in a simple format can be taken outside of the box and make it, very interesting like that. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about, we're going to say hi to a bunch of people in our chat here in a second. We got people tuning in from all around the world. But
nice.
I have to admit, the only time I knew about you was, word on the street about your name. I knew your name, hadn't heard your music one bit. And then we happened to be in the booth at Gibson when you were playing there. And, I was familiar with your guitar, which we'll talk about with the Kramer signature. But we were there at the right time. We got to hear you play. And I was expecting, like I said, the Shred Fest, just, and then I was telling, my son was there, Eric Jr., and we were hanging out with another, we were there with a friend as well, too. And we were like, whoa, from the minute you started playing, you tied every structure together and it just floats nice. But a question I had, I thought, I could be wrong, and I was watching some of your videos that you did from NAMM as well, too. Did you have any kind of interfaces like for your phone or iPad or anything like that, like any of the modeling software? Did you have anything between your guitar and your amplifier that was like digital?
Yes, actually I do. The thing is, there is this company called Positive Grid.
I know them.
They do a lot of amp modeling and software for recording, actually. Mostly recording software. And the thing is that when they started, I was at the peak of my YouTube popularity for seeing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was like probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was on tour actually with supporting Fear Factory. And they actually sent me a prototype of their softwares.
Okay.
And I found them like the most useful tool for any guitar player who has to go overseas. Because that's what you saw. Actually, everything came out of the iPad.
Wow.
Absolutely everything. The backing tracks, the effects, the amplifier, and it's a very complete software. It's definitely not. I believe that it's definitely not the same as a tube amp, because here in Peru and Colombia, which are territories that I perform with all my gear, it's totally different, definitely, because we have I have text, I have access to bring all my stuff like my pedal board and everything. But I cannot do that every time I go overseas or every time I go to the States because of some, I don't know, the customs.
Yeah, for sure.
So the thing that really saved me for saying it like that was this app. I have performed with this, at NAMM. I performed with this in Mexico, in Colombia, in France, in Germany. I actually performed at Hellfest at an alternative stage, and I just brought my iPad and my guitar straight to the PA, and everything went like huge.
It's hard to believe.
The funny thing is, what the other guy that was playing with me had like his pedal board and his tube amps and everything, and the sound guy was like, "Dude, I kind of prefer your iPad now." But I believe that is a thing of maybe experience, because I actually. People don't know this, but I've been doing this for a really long time. The thing is that my YouTube channel kind of exploded kind of recently. Mm-hmm. So that's how actually I met the people of Kramer and Gibson too.
Yeah, they really reach out through social media. There's no doubt about that. So I was correct, and I thought I saw some. I was pretty sure I saw something. I wasn't sure what it was, but I'll share a story with you as well too. That is how I got into the digital modeling world. Positive Grid was the first company that I worked with, and I love them. I still love them to this day. I started with the free stuff like that
pretty
Jam.
cool.
Yeah, and I got the Positive Grid amp, all that stuff. Got the Jam Up. That was the first one I started with, the Positive Grid effects and all that kind of stuff. And I like it to this day. But before that time came, I was so anti-digital that, it had to be a tube amp, had to be a pedal board, it had to be all the best voltage. And it's really, really come a long way. I work a lot now with Line 6, but everything out there is good. Kempers and the head rushes and all that stuff. Obviously, Positive Grid. I imagine you could probably show up and do radio stations and things like that as well too. Plug in at a radio station for an interview and do some playing. With
that actually what you just said is it. When I started playing guitar, it was kind of the death of analog pedals, and it was the death of tube amps. Everything was about Line 6 and Digitech.
Yes.
And the Boss GT, I don't remember, but
Yep.
I think GT10 or something. But I do remember that the thing was digital. You had to have or your Digitech or your Line 6 pod. And I actually used the Line 6 pod for years until I started trying tube amps and pedals. And the pedal that got me into analog stuff was the MXR GTOD.
Okay.
Have you tried that one?
The GTOD? No.
GTOD. It's a green pedal. It's actually really cheap.
Okay.
And but the thing is that from the time I use it, I couldn't stop using it. Like to this day, I use it, and I pray every day that this pedal doesn't stop working because it's gonna. It gives the amp that I don't know how to say it. It puts it like tight and crisp and beefy at the same time. It's a really cool pedal, and it's pretty affordable.
What's your choice when you have the luxury of having all your amps and everything there? What is it, Marshall, or you use an Orange, or what do you like to use?
I do not have an amp at home, like a big amp, to be honest. I have an Orange practice amp, and everything else that I have is it's digital actually. But I do have a lot of analog pedals. However, I use only 4 pedals for live shows, like the basic chorus, delay, my booster, and the GTOD. And however, when I perform live here in Peru, and when I have toured outside of Peru and I have the access to request for an amp, I've always go for the JCM 2000 and JCM 900 from Marshall. I used to love the JCM 800, but I think that I find it too, the presence is too high. It's too shiny. I don't know how to define it. It's like a little bit too much.
I used to have the JCM 900 high gain dual reverb, and I really wish I would have went with the master volume version, and I got rid of it. I bought the brand new head and 2 4x12s, and I wasn't getting the sound I wanted. Back in that day, I was using a Yamaha, I forget what it was. It was a half rack system. It was an SPX something, SPX 50, I think it was. It was like a half rack. It was kind of a small version of the old famous SPX 90 that a lot of sound guys would use in their racks. And, at that time I was playing a Stratocaster into that. And I think I might have had an MXR Distortion Plus or something. And I just wasn't getting my Eddie Van Halen tone that I really wanted to get out of it. So I sold it. And I think I went down to like almost like a crate or something of, garbage. I shouldn't say crate.
It sounds kind of far from, I don't know, the 5150.
Yes.
Like, one of my best friends who actually plays with me in the same band, it's called Difonia. He actually just bought 5150, and the other guy that plays with me in Massacre, which is my other band, has a 5150.
Nice.
And for what I see, you have an EVH behind you.
Yes.
Right. So when I ask them about this amp, everybody says like it's the perfect amp for heavy music. like for hard rock and for heavy metal. What are your thoughts about it?
It is for sure, and I've had a few guys on my show that are extremely metal, like extremely metal. Like Ryan Fluff Bruce, right? Riffs and Beards. Well, he's been on the show and he's metal. And he's
a really tall fucker. I met him in NAMM. He's really tall. I was like really impressed. I was like, hey, I said hi to him. I follow his channel.
Yeah.
I really like he like the reviews he does for pedals and gear and everything. He's really cool.
He's
really
good.
at it.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think he was saying he really enjoyed the PV5150 the most for metal. A lot of guys in the metal world were using the PV one, and I've had many of those. And then there's the new one. So there's 3 or 4, I guess there's 3 generations of this one. I have the first generation of that when Eddie went to Fender EVH gear. I like this one the best. I really do. There is this one. There is the Stealth, which came next. And that one I didn't really like too much. Some of my friends play it and they love it. And then there's the EL34, the newest one that just come out. But I like the rhythm channel of this one better. It tends to have that punch and sizzle that is quite nice. But I don't use it much anymore. Like I said, I just use the digital. But I want to ask, you talked about all these 80s influences that you have. You were born in 1985, right?
I was born in 1985, yeah.
So you were basically, we're going to talk about Van Halen for a second. David Lee Roth is now just out of Van Halen. Sammy Hagar is coming into Van Halen. 5150 is about to come out. I mean, you were born at the heyday, like you talked about, of shred and 80s metal. I mean, all this stuff, like Doc and Dio and Warrant, Van Halen, all this stuff. White Lion, Rat. I'm probably missing a bunch of other good ones. Guns N' Roses, of course. So,
yes.
So did you automatically gravitate to the Eddie Van Halens, and did Eddie Van Halen have a big influence on you?
The thing is that we're talking about, I was born in Peru in 1985, so there was no internet.
Right.
There was no internet. So most of the stuff from the States or Europe or whatever would arrive in Peru pretty much late. And and besides being late, Peru was going through a pretty rough times. There was a lot of economically, everybody was having a really bad time. It was probably the worst president of all time, probably. Okay. I don't know of all time, but at least what I remember from the 80s in Peru, my childhood, I remember everybody was having a really bad time. And that includes music, because everything would arrive late. To be able to buy something, maybe I don't know, how do you say it, LP, or how do you call the smaller vinyl? 45. A 45. Mm-hmm. It was really expensive. People would prefer to buy food instead of buying vinyl. It was really rough times.
Luxuries.
However, there was this TV show in Peru that used Van Halen's Jump for like probably 4 years or 5 years. I don't think Eddie Van Halen knows anything about it. Yeah. But they used the song, like the keyboard riff was all the time there. Wow. And I actually pretty much love the keyboard riff. And I never listened to the whole song until I was probably in my early teens. And that's how I actually became a fan, because when I was pretty much growing up, everything was about punk pop. New metal, it was like guitar solos were dead on the mainstream music. Nobody was playing guitar solos. It was when I started playing guitar, it was practically Pantera did not exist at that point. They recently broke up. So when people wanted to have access to heavy music or guitar-oriented music without internet, we had to go to these places, pretty much these underground music stores. Okay. And that was the only way back then. And that's the thing, like after listening to guitar music like, I don't know, Guns N' Roses and Van Halen, I wanted to listen more and to watch documentaries and stuff. And do you remember that documentary, The Decline of the Western Civilization? Yep. Part 2? Yep. After watching that documentary, I knew about Megadeth. which is fun because Megadeth was the only heavy band of that documentary. Most of the bands are like hair bands, right?
Yes, exactly.
Do you remember there was a band called Odin in that documentary?
I forget that one now.
Okay. But the thing is that I recognized the guitar player from Odin at NAMM.
Okay.
And I told him, hey, you're the guy from Odin. And he actually told me, yeah, I'm pretty not. He told me, like, I'm not so sure if I'm happy that you know me because of that.
Maybe not his best accomplishment.
Yes, maybe. But that's actually how I got access to guitar-oriented music. I had to go and find it to underground stores and everything. Right now, it's amazing how you just type a name on YouTube. For example, you put Rat, and you have even access to every live show they gave and documentaries and stuff. It's amazing.
I find it to be a really, really good thing, but also it's a bad thing. And I'll tell you both reasons for my story here. I think the good things are, all the young people like yourself. So the young Charlies, if let's say you're 8 years old, but you're born in today's time, you can go on the internet and you can learn how to play the guitar. You got all these people teaching you different ways, good, bad, and everywhere in between. So that's a good side of it. But then the bad side of it is you know everything about your bands and your heroes and all these kind of things where there's no mystery anymore. Like back in the day, like when you maybe idolized Van Halen, you weren't getting this news. One of the guys in the band could quit and leave, and you might not know about it for a year. And then when you hear about it, you're shocked, right? You're like, whoa.
It's like wrestling kayfabe.
Yeah.
It's something like that. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like the mystique. It's kind of gone.
That's right. And that's why one thing I do kind of like Van Halen today for this. A lot of people hate Van Halen for the sole reason that they don't talk in the press. But I also like him for that as well, too, because, it's a mystery. It's like radio silence until the last minute of the last hour. All of a sudden, boom, here's a press release. And then the whole world is shocked again. But, that was back in your time, too. Like you didn't have a lot of these bands touring your areas. I know Van Halen only did, a very short South American tour. And even I had some friends in England that, I asked them about Van Halen, and they're like, well, no, Van Halen isn't really big here because they didn't really tour here in their latter years. So it's really changed for us. But I guess it's a good time now. If you're a guitar player out there and you want to learn, you've got people all around the world like yourself and all these other great guitar players that are just a click away.
Yes, and actually one of the things that I think helped a lot my career was definitely the internet. That's how I got in touch with a lot of the brands I'm working with now. A lot of the shows I have done outside of Peru too, and it's fun because before YouTube, I was already working as a musician here in Peru like 10 years before that.
Wow.
So I think it was pretty productive for me. But about the mystique thing you say, it's like, I don't know, Yngwie Malmsteen. Have you seen the memes people make about
They're even
I think they're really fun.
I know.
They're really fun.
Yeah.
Some are really disrespectful, but, it's all about having a little laugh. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he laughs at himself. I mean, he totally laughs at himself. I got to go see him in the Generation Axe concert. They played near my hometown here a few months back, and a few friends went together, and, we got to watch them all play. And, he's completely, like, he'd do a guitar solo, he'd be looking at his, doing a riff and looking at his watch, and, maybe I keep it going, whatever. It was funny. But even the crew teases him as well, too. Like, he accepts it. He knows people are kind of pointing fingers and laughing sometimes, but he's laughing back with them as well, too. And he's Yngwie Malmsteen. He can do it. He can do it, right?
Of course.
Yeah, he can get away with it.
Yeah, of course. Like, I don't know, Nuno Bettencourt.
He was there as well.
He actually, he performs the Play With Me solo.
Yep.
Like he performs it, and he's like, ugh, like,
yeah.
It's amazing. It's like there's people that take years to play that solo.
I know.
It takes months to practice that song and get it right, and the guy just jones about it.
Yep.
He's really awesome. He's a great guitar player. I think he's pretty underrated.
Oh, for sure. I'll say one thing about him, then we're going to jump over and say hi to a whole bunch of people in the chat. But I followed Extreme growing up as a kid, and I tried to play some of Nuno's riffs and stuff like that. Tried to cover some songs, didn't do very, very well. And so we had on that tour, we had Nuno, Zach, Tosnabasi, Steve Vai, and Yngwie. Familiar with
Oh my God.
familiar with all of them except for Tosin. I didn't really know. I knew about as much about Tosin as I did about you. I just knew the name, knew he was great, but couldn't say I heard a song. So I really became a big fan of him. Zach Wilde, I knew everything he did with Ozzy and his own thing, but I didn't really dive deep into studying Zach. It's just he was there, he was great, awesome, but I never studied him. But Nuno and Steve Vai, I love Steve Vai to death. I even stopped listening to Van Halen for a couple of years and listened strictly to Steve Vai when Flexible come out and Flexible Leftovers and all that kind of stuff and Alcatraz. I was just in a Steve Vai rabbit hole. But Nuno Betancourt won me over, and as far as my opinion, he won that show as far as the talent and just the raw hunger and energy he had. It was insane how good he was.
Yes, and he's a pretty low gain guy.
He
right?
is, yeah, and very percussive. As you did, you did some of the kind of Nuno-esque riffs in some of those videos you've done recently too. Very percussive and kind of like the Slash and you got Slash and Nuno, a little bit of that stuff. Very percussive and quick.
Yeah, Nuno has this thing that he started doing string skipping.
Yep.
Like really cool strings keeping arpeggios, just like Paul Gilbert.
Yes.
But the thing is that Nuno does it with very, I don't know, maybe the gain is on 3 or 4, and he gets them like pretty right, pretty tight, pretty good.
That's something I guess we could probably give a tip to some of the younger generation that are trying to do these things. Instead of trying to hide your flaws, and I'm guilty of doing it too. I do it as well. Turn your gain on 10 plus 1, so you can hide your mistakes when you're trying to do these arpeggios and stuff like that. Keep it clean. Yeah, then it's easy to bring your gain back up as you get good, But I think you should start with it almost next to nothing, even to practice acoustically a little bit and get that precise, and then add some sparkle and some sizzle to it.
Yes, that's something that pretty much a lot of guitar players do, is that they put their gain to 1 to 10, they put it on 10,
Mm-hmm.
and on that, besides that, they add overdrive on it.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know how it's possible to get a good sound of that, because I think it's so saturated, and it's like I don't know, I don't think they got the concept of that it's an overdrive, that it goes over the drive.
That's right.
Like the pedals.
That's right.
It's just a little help for it.
I think that's the only reason I think people can point at digital modeling, any modelers out there, and give it a bad name, because what people can do, we have all these tools at our fingertips. Just because we can put, 5 Mesa Boogies and 14 Metal Zone pedals in a row doesn't mean that we should. You know what I mean?
Of course. There's actually a video about it. Have you seen Jared Dines' channel?
Yep.
Jared Dines? Actually, he has a video where he actually plugs every distortion pedal he has at home. And it's pretty curious how it goes. It's almost the final one. The final part of the video is almost, you cannot understand what's happening. It's like pretty much almost white noise.
I'm going to have to check that one out.
I really like a lot of his stuff, of Jared Dines' stuff.
He's good.
Guy.
I know you met him at NAMM, and I'll tell you a funny story that you'll love as well too. He was staying in our same hotel when we stayed in Anaheim, and I saw the other guys from his band. They got in the hotel in the elevator first, and then we went up to the next floor. And Jared gets in the elevator, and my son's upstairs sleeping. It was day 1 of NAMM, and he was just wiped out. He was tired. He's snoring at 3:00 in the afternoon. Or it was maybe later than that, but anyways, so I said, I got in the elevator and there's Jared. And I said, hey Jared, I know I'm not crazy. Don't call the police or anything like that. But I said, my son is your biggest fan. I didn't say that. I'm just joking with him, whatever. But I'm like, hey, my son is sleeping. How'd you like to come up and wake him up and scare him? And he's like, you want me to come and scare your kid? I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. So he did. And I got all nervous. I forgot where we were going. So let's say my room number was 101 on the 4th floor, or 404. I went up to 504, and I'm like trying to break in my door, and it wouldn't open up. I'm like, oh my God, wrong door. So I went back downstairs, and we're filming this at the same time. I have the video of it. I posted it today on Twitter. And I said, hey, Junior, hey, Eric, do you know who this guy is? And he wakes up, he's wiping his eyes. And there's Jared standing over him. And he just like went completely like, oh my God. It'd be like me meeting Eddie Van Halen as a 12-year-old kid, right? It was just insane. And he's such a cool guy, He's
a really nice guy. And we have done a lot of, that was pretty intense. We have done a lot of YouTube videos, like online collaborations.
Yep.
And actually, we're doing one more for this year. I'm releasing an album, and he's going to take part of it, actually.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
I had a phenomenal idea when we were there, and I'm not going to say the word because the word I would say on YouTube might get me a strike or something on here, but I had a video idea, and I was going to try to run it by Jared while we were there, but basically Jared Dines goes missing while at NAMM, right? And then, one of those type of videos. And then, of course, we have him held in our room, whatever. But we didn't, it never panned out, so to speak. But we did run into him about 4 or 5 times. But let's jump over to the chat. We got a whole bunch of people. Some people got questions for you as well, too. So I'm going to run through this. We've got our friend Guitar Hack, who's a great YouTuber as well, just stopping by to say hi. Todd Graff, Brad Miller's here, Gary Holt, my good friend from California. Nocturnal Butterfly is my better half who posts links throughout the chat and keeps the chat running efficiently.
Oh, nice.
She's sharing all your
Nice.
links today. Yeah. Gmasker76 is here. Jeremy Bringas is here. Angel Ruiz. That name sounds very familiar. Chris Link is here. Alejandro Mendez is here. Tone Bolts is here. Night V and Charlie Parra fan here from Australia. Very, very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Australia, that's pretty far from my place.
I bet it would.
I truly appreciate it.
I bet. Quentin James is here. Another big fan of Shred. Let me see here. Ankh Bibi, hello from Germany. Very nice. And I'm probably pronouncing...
Nice. She's my friend.
Okay. Am I pronouncing that right? Ankh? Anka?
I don't think it's Ankh or Anki.
Anki. Oh yeah,
I think
okay.
it's Ankh.
Yeah.
Ankh.
I'm not the best. I could say Bob Jones incorrectly. It's really bad. It's a Canadian thing in me, I think. Let me see here. Sean Close is here. Warren Hughes is actually another fresh Kramer artist he added to the roster. He's here. He says, "What's up, Eric and Charlie? Everybody, a great shredder. Check him out. Really good.
Nice.
Yeah, he's shred. He's
buddy.
yes, full shred. Tactical Six String is here. And I think Alejandro might be asking possibly if some of us speak Spanish, and I don't myself, so I apologize if I won't be able to translate anything. Let me see here. Let me scroll back. I missed something. I'll try to get back to where I was. Let me see here. I'm very sorry for the delays. Delvert, hello, Charlie. Greetings from Nicaragua. Very nice. Delvert, nice. We see we're tuned in from all around the world. Scott Connor, Mauricio Martello Aliaga, and I can't say what he's saying just because I don't understand Spanish. I'm sorry, but thank you, Mauricio, for tuning in. I appreciate that. Let me see here. And okay, and Angel Ruiz is from Peru as well. I'm a fan from Peru. So very nice.
Nice.
Here.
Compatriota, mi paisano.
Lars Guitar, everyone. Let me see here. Paul's a hoot and a monster. You talking about Paul Gilbert? Yeah, Paul Gilbert was on the show a few months back, and he was teaching us some riffs while he was on here, which was really cool. Great player.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was really funny too. He was drawing on this chalkboard behind him. He had now he uses chalkboards behind him for his lessons and stuff. And so he drew these Marshall amplifiers. And so we're doing a test call like you and I did earlier. And he's playing his guitar and he says, "Is that good? Am I too loud?" Whatever I said, turn up your mids on your chalkboard. And he goes back to actually touch the chalkboard, and he was going to turn his mids up on the chalkboard. He goes, "Turn up the what on the what?" And I made him laugh. It was really funny. Yeah,
he's a good guy. I actually got the chance to be support act for him. For Mr. Big, actually. They came to Peru in 2017 or 2018. And actually we had the chance to be the band to support him and Billy and the whole bunch. It was really nice. It was cool. The tour manager was kind of sketchy, but it was cool.
Yeah. What did they enjoy your playing in the band and stuff like that?
I don't know. We just say hi, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I stayed for quite the large part of their set because I wanted to see Paul Gilbert's guitar solo. That's pretty much what I was really interested to watch, and it was really awesome.
That's the highlight of a Mr. Big Show, that too, and obviously Billy doing his crazy stuff as well too. Yeah, they're both so good. Let me see here. Don Shepard is here as well too. I think I might have mentioned that. Let me see. Doing good in the chat here. This is good. Jensen Bell, this is awesome. I've been wanting to see an interview with Charlie for a while. Great job, Eric. Thank you. No problem. Yeah, I was looking for some interviews of yours as well too, because whenever I have a guest on the show, I like to kind of get in the zone and the mindset and learn some things that I might not know. And I didn't know a lot about you, as I told you earlier. And I didn't see a lot of English interviews. Have you done many English interviews?
I have done very few English interviews. Yeah. I done one for No, actually, I have one in Japanese.
Yep, saw that
I
one.
have, yeah, in Japanese, in Turkish, and and the Gibson interview that was in English too.
Yeah.
But most of the interviews I've done have been in Spanish.
That's the thing. Like I say, I was trying to find more information about you, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be tough. I'm on my own on this one, but I have to give you credit as well too. When you told me off the air, English is not your native language, you were doing
Yes.
phenomenal. You're doing better than me.
Oh, thank you so much. I used to play a lot of video games back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, they helped me with a lot with my English actually, because there was not an option to put it on Spanish back then.
That's right.
Now you can.
That's right.
Yeah, before it couldn't.
All right,
Yeah.
let's talk video games a minute. What kind of video games did you play?
I pretty much like old school stuff.
Okay.
I like Super Castlevania 4.
Oh, right on.
Super Street Fighter 2. I'm pretty much a big fan of Duke Nukem, Doom 2, and actually the guys from Duke Nukem, for their anniversary release, I made the music for their trailer. I made like a guitar version of the Duke Nukem theme.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and for the Capcom guys too, the Street Fighter 2 guys, they asked me to use my one of my versions of the Ken's Dem for that stage. I have worked with Blizzard too several times. The guys from World of Warcraft and Overwatch and Diablo. I have performed in a lot of their release parties, and when they go to doing festivals, I go and perform for them, which is real nice. I actually take my iPad to perform with them.
Who would have thought all these years of playing video games would pay off for you like that, right?
Yeah, I think that the last 10 years have been real crazy. First of all, because I would never imagine that I would be working with my favorite video games franchises, or having a signature guitar, or hanging out with rock stars.
Yeah.
But probably the two times I was really starstruck, there have been three. When I met Robbie Krieger, that it has happened twice actually, and well, Chris Jericho, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so meeting him on a backstage back in the UK, it was really nice. And actually meeting Slash was the best thing, because he's actually like my main influence. Believe it or not, he's like probably the reason why I said, okay, I maybe I should become a guitar player. And so meeting him, the funniest thing is that I didn't meet him on tour. I didn't meet him on the States or Europe or an airport. I met him 20 minutes away from my house, because our band was being a support act for him. So he was like the nicest guy. It was so starstruck that actually we did not have a picture together, but we have a quick video.
Yep.
And yeah, it's been quite a ride. And now having a signature guitar with Kramer, the NAMM experience, it's pretty fun.
That's absolutely amazing. That's what I was going to go next, was talking about Kramer. So obviously having a signature guitar is great with them. I mean, it's a dream come true to even be on a roster, let alone have a signature. But can you maybe take us through the story of how, like you kind of mentioned, maybe it kind of happened through YouTube or whatever, all these companies start to hear about you and see you. Tell us like when you become a Kramer artist, and maybe how that journey went from, meeting them and to becoming an artist and then getting your own signature.
Everything started on 2010. Me and my band, Difonia, we performed at Altavoz Festival. That's in Medellin, in Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
That's my second favorite city in the world. And I actually performed with my band, and one of the Gibson guys was there. And he saw me, and he was pretty much interested in working with me.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that when he asked me, okay, let's do something together with Brand. Where are your international tour dates? And I did not have any international tour date back then.
Yep.
No international tour date. I told him I play in a local band. I perform pretty much in stages locally. So what happened was, okay, we're not going to be able to work this time. And then the YouTube thing happened. I went on tour for like 80 cities in the world, which was a really long tour. And that's actually how I got in touch with the guys from Kramer. It was like, hello again.
Yeah.
And that actually started a huge thing because after being endorsed by Gibson and Kramer, I got endorsed by EMG. I got endorsed by Dunlop. I got endorsed by Dean Markley. Then I got endorsed by Positive Breed. Then I got endorsed lately by Ernie Ball. And it's been a lot of, who would say that I would have so many beautiful endorsements?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Kramer is that they were, actually Gibson they were having really rough times the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So I actually knew that, and I actually saw that the best thing I could do was just being loyal, you know, being loyal and just,
I agree.
you know, yeah, it's like I pretty much believe that loyalty, it's basic for everything, you know, at work, with your band, with your, you know, your partner.
Mm-hmm.
It's basic. That's something that I've been learning constantly every year. And I think that loyalty to mostly to what I love, that is playing music. It's, you know, doing good things for me and for my friends and for a lot of kids that are actually from Peru or South America. I get a lot of messages from kids from Peru and South America and telling me it's amazing to see a Latino doing this kind of stuff and having a signature guitar and touring and playing in big stages. Lately, I actually got to support Judas Priest.
Wow.
With my band Massacre, and actually I got to meet Richie Faulkner and Rob Halford, the nicest guys.
Nice.
The nicest guys.
And Richie's a Gibson guy.
Yes, Richie was. I actually told him, Richie, you I gotta tell you that you're a really nice guy. And he told me, I tried to. It was really nice.
Nice.
It was really, really nice. And the thing about Kramer and Gibson, it's like I feel pretty honored to be a part of that family, because it's quite an experience going to NAMM, and the best thing was to see my guitar there and seeing people shredding on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much I was like, I can't believe this guy is playing my guitar. I can't believe these guys are like enjoying my guitar. And every time somebody buys the guitar, some of them send me the picture of them with the guitar. The last one was in Kuwait. That's how you say it, Kuwait?
Yep, that's how I would say it. Yep, Kuwait, yep.
Yes, Kuwait. And I was like really shocked. There was this guy with the signature guitar. And I asked him, hey, thanks a lot for sending me this. Where are you from? And he says, Kuwait. I was like, how does this guitar appear in Kuwait?
Yeah.
That's like really far from Lima.
I know. Well, sometimes it's hard to even find them in New York City or places like that sometimes, you know what I mean?
Of course. It's what has happened to me a lot in the States. It's that actually some people kind of recognize me from the older videos.
Okay.
YouTube videos and stuff, and they are like, hey, you look exactly like that Brazilian guy, Charlie Parra. And I'm like, I'm Charlie Parra, and it's not Brazil, it's Peru.
There you go.
And they're like, oh man, I thought you were taller.
I'd say I'm better looking than him. That guy's not as good looking as I am. That's hilarious.
That's a pretty common phrase that I listen every time I go to the States.
Yeah. Well, it's like people say to me too. They'll say, "Oh, did you lose weight?" And they see me in person, and because the camera adds, it's hard to tell how tall you are, especially in videos. And then I've had several of my friends say, "Did you lose weight?" I'm like, "No, it's just the camera." It's hard to get a picture. But what you said was really, really important, and this is some advice we can try to share to some other up and coming musicians too. Like you say too, when the artist rep is asking you how many international dates do you have and that kind of thing. And it is changing now. Back in the days, like in the 90s, 2000s, you'd contact an artist rep and you'd say, our band would like to seek an endorsement, and they would ask you how many tour dates you do a year, what do you do overseas, how many volume of records do you sell. That was back in the day when you'd sell records. how's merchandise sales, how many spins you're getting on radio, all that kind of stuff. Now the forums have turned out, how many YouTube subscribers do you have? How many Instagram subscribers do you have? And it's almost completely different what it used to be, right? But what you did, you had patience, which was, so they talked to you first at Gibson, and you said kind of waited out, whatever. So you had patience, you remained loyal, because here's another thing I'll share with people. People don't, it's like they always say, don't burn bridges, right? But a lot of these artist relations people, I have a friend that's worked at 3 companies. At 3 guitar companies that are well-respected companies, and so they go from company to company to company. Maybe they get a better raise over here, or maybe not enough money here, or maybe just a better option over here, so they'll move in their career. All these people know one another. You go to the NAMMs and they're hanging out, shaking hands. They all know one another. So if you really give a bad taste to company over here, and then you go to get an endorsement over this company over here, they talk, right? And your door will be shut before you even get there, but you waited on it. A small example here is a company that supports our channel is Rode Microphones. I'm speaking into one right now. Once my channel started to grow a little bit, I had a lot of these Chinese microphone companies contact me, like not a lot, but I'm going to say 5 to 6 different times, different companies. Hey, will you do a review on this microphone, blah, blah, blah. And some bigger ones too. And I just said to them, I always am polite and I'm grateful and thankful. I'm just like, thank you so very much. I appreciate the offer, but I can't. I have a good relationship with this company, and it won't make me feel comfortable at the end of the day to do that. I don't care if you send it to me for free or not. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And that helps a lot for, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a sneaky.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like something, I don't know how to say it. Maybe, I don't know if illegal is a word, but it's not right.
It's integrity. It's just integrity, I think.
Yeah, it's integrity thing. For example, there's something that I'd like to mention now that we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I use a lot of Dunlop plectrums.
Mm-hmm.
Dunlop plectrums, Ernie Ball plectrums. The latest Dunlop plectrum that it's like an Andy James model.
Okay.
It's a really good plectrum. Or I want to mention my friend Rens Hendricks. He's got a company from the Netherlands. He's a young craftsman, and he makes these plectrums that are actually a mixture between the Jim Dunlop Big Stubby and the Ernie Ball Prodigy. And it's like a mixture of both of them. It's like a prototype.
It looks like it's got a groove in the middle, too, for a thumb.
Yes. It's probably one of the best plectrums I ever tried. And I want to give that shout out to Renz, because he's really awesome. Actually, he made me not too many of this.
Yeah.
That's why every time I perform with this and the fans are like, hey, Charlie, do you have a plectrum? I cannot give them this. I cannot, because
only so many.
Is really it's really special for me. But I just wanted to say that because he's actually seeking, to do his stuff. He's a really do-it-yourself guy.
Yeah.
And I pretty much believe that most musicians right now should be doing that and not expecting for a record label or manager or anything.
That's right.
It's a totally different time, and that's something that I saw from a lot of people of my friends. Lots of them just waited for things to happen, or thought that because they had a powerful contacts, they were going to do something about their careers. That hasn't happened at all to any of them. Most of my friends that are in the music thing are pretty much hard-working people.
Exactly.
Of course, people party a lot,
mm-hmm.
and people get really, really smashed face and everything. But people are really hardworking, and everybody is so passionate about it. And I pretty much believe that that's a fact. That if you're surrounded with hardworking people, you're going to work really hard. But if you're surrounded by pretty lazy people or people waiting just for things to happen, maybe that's not the right influence.
Yeah, the bar gets lowered for you, and you just become kind of that person. Like I always say, it's a kind of an analogy I say, when you go to apply for a job, and you're on your best behavior, you got your hair pulled back in a ponytail for us guys with long hair, and you're nice and clean, got your good shirt on, you got your deodorant on, you're smelling good, and you're really there to make a good impression for the job. You get the job, and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to put my feet up on the desk, I'm going to drink beer while I'm at work, You know, you should always be interviewing for the job. And I find the same thing with whether you're in music. You know, let's say you get a record deal. You know, getting that record deal back in the day, was different today as well too. But getting it and keeping it, you know, you're going to be a one-hit wonder, or are you going to produce? Or if you're not a record seller, maybe you're just, a product specialist and you're demoing products all the time. You know, you got to keep it up because there's a million other people vying for your job, and you always got to be interviewing. In other words, always be. And I think the internet too has brought a bit of a self-entitlement to people, where everyone has this. I should be entitled to this because Charlie's got this. I should be able to have it, or as this person over here has it, so I should have it. But what have you done, right? You have to work for it. And a lot of times when you're not looking for things, they'll come your way. And I think that's going to be really good for you with this guitar pick company that you have your friend there. I think it's going to be good having someone like you to be the champion to promote this pick. You could be one of the first artists to take it to, a big name. And I think that'd be awesome for him as well, too.
Oh, I hope so, because I truly believe that it's a pretty small, it's a pretty indie company, definitely. But I think that after trying his stuff, I think it's really awesome stuff. I truly have a lot of faith on him.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave him the shout out. I think that, small brands also have like really cool stuff, and you get to see that in NAMM too.
Nice.
There are really awesome brands there. Really awesome, like small brands.
Yep.
And they have a pretty, how do you say it? They're pretty passionate about what they do. They're not really much into making a breakthrough guitar or breakthrough pedal or whatever. They just do it because they love it.
Passion.
That's pretty admirable. It's passion. It's like pretty much what my career is right now, oriented to making the music I like. Because when I definitely started with the channel, it was pretty much it was turning into not music. It was just internet content.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of hated for a while.
Yep.
So I stopped uploading material, and I dedicated myself just to perform live and touring. And well, now I am uploading videos again, which is really cool. And I'm pretty much based on what the people suggest. I always ask, I always say at the end of the videos, thanks a lot for watching the video. Don't forget to like and share. And don't forget to leave a question, a suggestion, an insult, or a comment. And actually people does that. They comment, they insult, they suggest. It's really cool.
That's the
really
thing.
Cool.
Even if it's an insult or a dislike, it's all real human interaction. And sometimes it might be a punch in the jaw, but it's still interaction, and it still assists. Yeah.
Yes, and actually that's I get a lot of comments and messages on my Instagram message. I get these comments from kids telling me, Charlie, there are these guys that hate what I do. They're always giving me negative comments and stuff like that. And what I tell me is it's a part of it. You don't play rock and roll because you want everybody to like you. That's how it's supposed to be. If you're doing this, you do it because you like it, not to be liked. And some people actually get that, and some people don't. They want to, being radio friendly, or I don't know. I pretty much don't know. Some people just do whatever to get the likes and the endorsements.
Yep. Well, you know what I think is, you may not be a Kiss fan. I'm a Kiss fan here. Not as much as I am.
I love Kiss.
Okay.
I actually met Gene Simmons.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about.
He was the manager of Cobra and the Lotus, the band I used to play with.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yes, I got to meet him once. He was really nice, and I used to smoke cigarettes back in the day. I do not smoke cigarettes for more than 2 years from now. Good. But I remember at some time at the party, I had this cigarette, and there was Gene Simmons.
Okay.
And I grabbed the cigarette, and I said, "Hey, Gene!" And he said, "Charlie, tell me, who's this?" And I did.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yes. He just looked at me and did this. And he just went away.
Oh, no.
But at least I'm going to tell that to my nephews if I have some.
Well, what I was going to say about him is the fact that he measures success on how many people hate him. if you're doing well, if you're not hated, you're not doing your job good enough. You know, honestly.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good one.
That's pretty much it. If you're not hated, you're not doing a good enough job, because people will hate you because they want to be you. They can't be you. You know, and whether you're an artist, like a painter, a sculptor, a guitar player, a famous athlete, actor, you know, whatever it is, you know, there is a lot of that territory where people, they just can't achieve that. They've tried and they failed. They think it's easy. And then that's what brings out the hate. But, you know, it's good that you're a role model for these younger kids. My son here, who's only 12, he deals with it phenomenal. He gets some of the nastiest comments on videos. His channel was starting to take off for a while and was getting some, like, kids, I think, are the worst. Adults can be just as bad, I think. But he's got a good head on his shoulders, and you just got to, you know what? It's, hey, you're jealous of my content. That's all it is. Move on next. Keep doing what you're doing.
Of course. It's you cannot stop doing your stuff because of someone else.
No, that's right.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know, having a girlfriend that doesn't let you see your friends.
Yeah.
It's just something like that. It's you cannot stop what you're meant to do and what you want to do because of, you know, something external. Just with the exception that it's a physical thing or a familiar or something really, really tough. But yes, I mean, what you just said is pretty much something that I like to think. It's like, if people don't hate you, if there are no haters, something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
That's right. That's right. I remember some of my YouTube friends were like, you know, they're like, oh, I don't have any haters, and then they're like, oh, I don't want to get a hater. I'm like, yes, you do. Trust me, you do. When you get those first hateful comments, you can finally like, okay, I'm onto a good career now.
Oh man, I have this. There's this guy that comments my channel every single day. He's like, I have like, I don't know, like 300 videos in YouTube on my channel. I think he goes back to the same videos and to comment again and comment again. It's really, I haven't blocked the guy or anything because I find it really interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, I can't believe that he comes back all the time.
All that energy he's using on your channel.
Yes, I find it fascinating because every view counts.
I know.
Every comment does too. Of course.
And by the way, I got to say a huge congratulations to you on that channel. For people that don't know, and we've already put your link in the channel here as well, and I've got it down in the description as well too. But 750,000 subscribers, 750 some odd thousand, like 750,000 subscribers. Can you believe that?
I actually cannot believe that because when I started the channel, I wasn't thinking of subscribers or likes or anything. I just wanted to make videos for my friends. That's how everything started.
And it's done phenomenal. It's so well. So that's something you still want to keep going, obviously, as you want to do YouTube. I know you said like now you're kind of having fun getting some videos back up and stuff like that, but it's something you want to continue with YouTube for many years to come.
Of course, definitely. I'm doing I'm doing some cool YouTube stuff and some collaborations, and well, the new album is definitely going to be available on YouTube. Like, it has to be an audiovisual experience.
Yeah.
So that's how it's going to be.
That's good. I'm looking forward to that for sure. We've got some links to obviously your Facebook page as well too, and Instagram too, so people can find you that way. Let's jump back over to the chat for a quick. No problem. Jump back to the chat for a second because I think there's a couple questions in there, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of your thoughts on the Kramer guitars that were unveiled at NAMM as well too. So over in the chat, we've got JJ's House of Jams here. Zach Thong is here. Marsman, Gary Holt, Guitardit, Charles Green. Dalla Baladeras, you are the best, Charlie. Let me see here.
Eres la mejor, Dalia. Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Dalla. Quentin James, he used the SPX 90 and the loop for delay. That was kind of the Soundman's processor at one time, the Yamaha SPX 90. Bobby Clipper is here. Let me continue scrolling down. I know there are some questions, and I don't scroll fast enough in this chat, and I think I might have locked it up. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit if people can bear with me for a moment. Let me see here. Sebastian Valencia. And Anke says, you're such a good vibes guy, Charlie. Can't imagine anyone can hate you. But it happens. That means Charlie's doing a good job. It happens. The American Kai is here. Let me see. Scrolling back a little bit more. Candace Clark, Charlie Parra is proof that hard work, respect, and loyalty will take you places that entitlement never will. That's very well said. That's from Candace.
Candace, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the hugs here from Peru to you.
Very well said, Candace.
Gracias a mi amigo Sebastián Valencia de Arequipa. Creo que ahí lo mencionaste.
Awesome.
Gracias.
Let me see. Janice Lala's here. Jack J. Martin. Hey, Eric and Charlie. Love the stream. Keep up the great work. Thank you so very, very much. Let me see here. Ricardo Mendez official. Charlie is the best. Let me see here. Tone Bolts. Tony Fuentes, I think, is here as well, too.
Mi colega Ricardo, de Ecuador.
Tony is really good. Okay, so I let me see. I'm just trying to... Gary Holt says kind of like Eric meeting Kramer. When we're talking about meeting Jared Dines, I got to spend 3 days in Los Angeles with Gary Kramer, obviously the founder of Kramer. So
I saw that.
Did you see it?
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's cool. It was a real experience. Like, it's kind of hitting me now when you're there in the moment. Yeah, as you know what it's like, right? It doesn't hit you because you're there in the moment. Then you get back, you're like, oh my God, I met Slash, or I met, so and so. Yeah,
it's like a legend.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Living like.
But a lot of people just don't know, but the people that are, that follow the brand Kramer, obviously, it's quite the legacy,
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Awesome. Brian Cote is here as well, too, another friend who's a great player here in Canada and a great YouTuber as well, too. I thought there was a question. I'll try to find it. But in the meantime, let's talk about some of those new models that come out. Aljon gave me an interview just before NAMM. It was a week before NAMM, I think the Wednesday prior, and we were talking about it, and obviously we saved that video and put it up, and it wasn't supposed to come out until the Wednesday of NAMM, and then one of the other websites kind of leaked some information, so Aljon says he contacts me at the airport. I was stuck in the airport, and he says, Eric, just put the video up, go for it. But, we got the Jersey Star out now. We've got, obviously, the Night Swans back, some nice Berettas, new 84s. What were your thoughts on? Did you get a chance to play some of them?
Yes, I actually got to play all of them.
Good.
Yes, I did. I actually have an 84 at home,
yep.
A bullseye one, like the Twisted Sisters 808 I used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the only B-shaped guitar right now for Kramer is like the Night B, like the Charlie Parra Night B. We're actually going to work on something new for 2019. And I got to talk a lot with the Kramer people about it. And because this is quite a revival. And being a part of the brand and I've been with the brand for it's been 6 or 7 years since the first time I talked to the guys in Kramer. So it's almost a decade.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that I've been working with them almost a decade. It's really nice.
I forget who asked in the chat, but there was a question for sure asking if you were going to be doing something new with them, any new guitars. So that you've kind of answered that question. So that's very cool to see that you're going to be doing that. I think the lineup is here to stay. Coming out with Aljon was on my show about close to a year ago, and we're kind of talking about. He's been on a few times since. But, tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you want to see, and people are starting to say, "I want this. I'd love to see the Nights one. I'd like to see this." And sure enough, look where we're at. A year later, and sometimes people are still complaining. Well, I'd like to see this, and I'd like to see this. But look what we got. We're getting these things that we're lucky to even have the brand here today still. And I think each year we're going to see another big release. And I mean, speaking of big releases, Gibson wasn't even at NAMM last year, and look at this. They show up this year, and it's almost like mini NAMM and themselves. Like Gibson could have been a mini NAMM.
Yes, of course. It was one of the most visited booths. It was a huge place. The stage was really awesome. It was a really intimidating stage. But the guitars, everything. I tried to play almost all the guitars that were there. I tried to play all the guitars at NAMM, to be honest.
Oh, that's cool.
But pretty much I was staying at the Gibson booth because of the performance and because I was, hanging out with the guys of the brand. And, well, just like you said, it was like a mini NAMM, like a small NAMM themselves. Oh, it was a really intimidating experience performing there.
I can imagine.
It always is. It's different and performing with my bandmates that are around me, there's like an interaction with my bandmates. and the audience.
I
But this
know.
time it was like the audience and myself, and that's it.
No
Maybe
comfort
once
zone.
in a while with the sound guy.
Yep.
That's it. No more interaction at all.
That's
It's really intimidating.
that's why years ago, when I retired in music, I would never go out to the karaoke bars or even like an open mic night, because if I didn't have my bandmates there as kind of my comfort zone and a safety net, if I made a mistake, I could kind of hide behind them and let the bass player continue or something. So I can only imagine. And that's in a bar where there's probably maybe a half a dozen guitar players at best, but you're at NAMM where 99.9% of the audience is a guitar player or want to be a guitar player, and the pressure level, you got all the guys like standing up in front. Okay, here he comes, Shredfest, right? But you did it, man. You nailed it. And at the very end, you taking pictures with the crowd, and there was not one frowning face in the crowd. Everyone was smiling.
Thank you so much. Actually, I was really surprised because it's to me every time I perform outside of Peru, or to a place where it doesn't speak my native language, it's like the Hunger Games. It gets tougher every time. It gets like I arrive and there's other people, there's another stage, there's another, it's another place. To me, it's like another planet. So the first time it was tough because it's just what you say. The first time I performed there, everybody was like, everybody was a guitar player. Everyone there was waiting. What is this South American guy going to do here at this show? And this time it was surprisingly better. I found it better. I felt like, I don't know, it had a different vibe. It was really good. It's not that the other one was bad, but this one, the picture with the crowd, it told me everything. It told me like everything did good.
Yep,
Because
that's right.
I had this green light on my eyes, so I couldn't see the faces, so I didn't know what was going
So you're
on.
just kind of keeping your fingers crossed, everything was going to go good. Well, I have a feeling there's probably a lot of people there like myself, maybe not a lot, but maybe a few at least, that had no idea what to expect. So they didn't know you, they didn't know what you're playing, or what they're going to expect, a shred fest or blues or whatever, and you gave them all of it. And I think a lot of people were like, kind of like, what did we just experience? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, I think people are kind of like, what did we just experience?
I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
I
it was
truly
cool.
appreciate it.
And
It was a great experience. I having the final moment where I started, shaking hands with. There was this little meet and greet.
Mm-hmm.
That made the whole trip was that moment for me. I couldn't believe, like, when people appreciate your work, it's priceless. It's pretty priceless. I cannot hide I could not hide how happy I was about that. It was a great moment.
You could tell. I saw you interact with the fans because I stayed and I watched you get off the stage here, and I saw you interact with the fans. You were saying hi to us as well too, and it's like you weren't one of those guys who's like, "Okay, get me out of here. I'm done. I want to get to my car or my hotel room, whatever." You were hanging out with the fans, and I really thought that was awesome. I really did.
Oh, thanks. I pretty much believe that that's a part of it. It's something that does not happen every day or every weekend. So
Yeah.
I tried to do my best, and well, it was a great moment. There were people that telling me, "You got that?
Yeah, there's a bug.
What was that?"
There's a giant moth. Did you see it?
That was pretty much a Miyagi thing. What you did.
I got this. Yeah, the fans
Yeah.
didn't see it. The fans didn't see it. So what? What are you talking about? There's a big giant moth that just flew by, and I did one of these, and I got it. So I had to switch cameras so you didn't see the death of a moth on screen. Miyagi.
Yes, I saw it. I saw that.
He's gone. He's gone. Anyways, carry on with your story.
Well, that's pretty much it. It was like I think that it was like a mission accomplished. It was a mission accomplished. It was like this time was, I felt so relieved because the first time I performed at NAMM, I performed after Robbie Krieger.
Oh, wow.
So that was, the whole pressure of the world was on me. And it was really intense. But the best thing was that I got to meet Robbie Krieger twice.
Oh, that's
and the last
great.
time, I actually got to him and I showed him the picture from 2015. To me, hey, look, that's us.
That's great.
And he told me, have you cut your hair? That's the first thing he said. Was a nice guy. He is a nice guy.
I know that photo you're
Randy.
talking about. I saw that. I did see that share. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's very cool. I had a friend that's came over from England. He's a Line 6 player, a Line 6 Helix user. He's going to be on my show this coming Sunday. But he went to NAMM and he had jet lag really, 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 really bad. Like to the point where I think he was there for 5 days maybe, but it was really messing him up. Now, for us to go to California, it was only a 3-hour time difference. So the jet lag was actually in our favor. It made us like energetic. We wanted to stay up all night. But how long were you there, and did the jet lag have any effect on you at all?
No, not at all. It's a 2-hour difference from Peru, or 3-hour, I think.
Is it really?
Not too much.
Wow.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It's actually, I think that where you are right now, and it's the same time, so that's kind of cool.
What time is it your place right now?
22:14.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, because we're 10:14. That's hard to believe.
Of course. But actually, I got to this NAMM. I was pretty ill.
Okay.
I had a lot of antibiotics on me, so but there was no way I was not going to NAMM. There was no way. But yeah, the first day I felt like shit because I was so filled with the antibiotics and everything. But it did well, and everything was good, and everybody was happy. So it was a mission accomplished. Did you
get there on Tuesday or Wednesday?
I arrived then on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
yes,
okay.
Wednesday night. Yes. Have you heard this band DAD?
DAD?
It's a Finnish band. DAD.
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
There are several Finnish bands from the 80s.
Okay.
I don't know. Hanoi Rocks.
Yes, I know that name. Oh, for sure I do.
Hanoi Rocks and DAD, really awesome bands. I don't know why they just came to my head, because they're really, really good bands, like underrated.
Yeah. So I don't know the DAD band. I'll have to look them up, but Hanoi Rocks for sure.
They have a single that was pretty huge back in the 80s, for what I've read, that is called "Sleeping My Dad Away."
I'll have to look that up. I'm gonna look it up for sure. Can it be found on YouTube?
What?
Can it be found on YouTube?
Yes, it can be found on YouTube.
Okay.
It's really good. It's really good.
I'll look it up for sure. Listen, I'm going to tell the fans here, we're at 10:16 here. We've got about 15 minutes before we wrap up. And I didn't want people to think that you weren't playing today, but because we don't have Charlie connected with an interface to the computer, we won't get the best audio. But if you want to give it an attempt and give us a couple killer Charlie riffs, if it's not too late for you to fire up the amplifier, you can give us a shot.
Okay, I'll try then.
Yep. And people watching too as well, just keep in mind too that anything that comes through doesn't sound the best. It's just for the Skype audio. Yep. That sounded pretty good. I liking that.
Thank you, buddy. Truly appreciate it, man. I truly appreciate it.
So that guitar, that's what I wanted to mention, because you talked about having the 84, and because you're an EMG artist, you popped out the pickup and put the EMG and the 84 as well, too, didn't you?
Yes, and I got some YouTube comments telling me that was how do you say it, a sacrilege, like
right.
A crime. But actually, that pickup, that EMG pickup, it's kind of a hybrid pickup. It's not as active and as present as or gainy as the 81, 85 pickups. The 57 and 66 is pretty much one of the best combos from EMG. I pretty much believe that it's one of their master combos, because when you put the volume low, you actually can get clean tones.
Nice.
Which is something that you cannot get with other active pickups.
I know it's almost like full or nothing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And besides that, I think it's pretty. I've used these pickups for a Les Paul 2 and for my 84, and I haven't had any issue. It's like I think that the gain has got a little bit higher, higher gain. But the thing is that if I just use the volume knob, it's That's it. That's pretty much it. So I have absolutely nothing wrong, nothing bad to say about the 57 and 66 pickups. What I can say is that they are definitely not for jazz,
No.
but I pretty much believe that you can use them even for, I don't know, maybe for indie rock or maybe post-punk.
Yeah.
They're really, really good pickups. It's a good pickup combo.
I don't think you're going to see anyone like John Schofield or anyone like playing a Kramer 84 anyways for jazz.
I don't think so. And even a smaller possibility to see them with an 84 with EMG pickups. It's not.
Yeah, I can imagine. But that's the thing. People say it's sacrilegious, but the thing is, you're playing that guitar a lot. So is it sacrilegious, or is it the fact that you're putting quality time on that instrument and really breaking the instrument in, and it makes you play? So it's what works for you, right? It's not about heritage or it's about anything else. I mean, I see guys over in the EVH side because I work with the EVH gear as well too. And sometimes I question it and I look at them like, why would you do that? Someone gets a brand new American Wolfgang, or no, actually one of my buddies had a Peavey Wolfgang too. And beautiful, beautiful American Peavey. And they took out the original pickups, which are amazing pickups. And they put Duncans in. Duncans are great pickups too. I have Duncans too, and the Kramers for that matter. But it's almost like those pickups were so good. Why would you do it? But the thing is, who are we to question? Because our ears are different. Maybe that tone that come from that factory wasn't what that person was hearing in their head. They put in the pickups. They're playing more guitar. That's all that matters.
Of course. Actually, one of my best friend who plays with me in Difonia, he actually uses he is endorsed by Seymour Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's probably the only thing we don't have in common with our guitars, because we both play Bs.
Mm-hmm.
We both play Les Pauls. We both play String Gauge 1052.
Wow.
We both like Marshalls, but we don't use the same pickups. It's the only thing that we have kind of different. And besides, he's got a great tone, great vibrato. He's a great kick-ass guitar player. He does not have too many stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
But we as Difonia, we have a lot of music out there, so you can check him out. And he's a kick-ass guitar player. He's like pretty much a Zakk Wylde kind of guy. He's a Zakk Wylde, a Dimebag Darrell. He's pretty much influenced by those guys.
Oh, that's good to know for sure. Well, before we wrap up, can you share with like some of the maybe some of the people that are like our age in the chat that are maybe struggling with their playing, or they're in a rut, or maybe it's some new players that want to get into guitar and they look at some people like yourself as an influence. Can you recommend any tips, whether it be like get a metronome out and get some rhythm, any tips you can get to start off in guitar, and don't rush it, don't put the cart before the horse, but become a good guitar player, and maybe a few tips so you can just get them started.
I think that being right now on year 2019, I think the best tip I can give to a guitar player in a way is that they have to record themselves.
Okay.
They have to record themselves and listen to the recording so they can have a more objective opinion on their playing. So they can see what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. So they can focus on getting better at some things and getting even more better at what they're good at. And the other thing, I think that it's like a cliche, like telling someone to perseverance is like the basic thing of it all. In like the people that play hard rock and heavy metal music, we are destined to practice. We're destined to practice a lot because we're doing not that easy stuff on guitar.
That's right.
If we were, I don't know, sometimes I wish I was an indie guitar player, so I was not needed to practice so many hours. It's not that I don't like indie or whatever. I don't have nothing against it. I kind of like it. I really do. But it's not the music style that I play. However, I can say that people have to do things because of them, not for someone else, because sooner or later, what you do, it's gonna grab people. People are gonna, how do you say it? They are going to I don't know if the words buy it,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
they're gonna listen to it and
Yep.
maybe support it and maybe go to the shows. And I think that it's all about passion. For guitar, it's all about passion. That's why do not understand why people are so passionate about guitar brands or pickups or pedals. It's because it's a passion, and you want your passion to be better and better and better. That's why people are so geeky about it. I'm not that geeky, to be honest. I
Right.
would love to be more into it, but I think it's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of the passion, the practice, constants, and doing things, from the heart. That's a thing from the heart. That's what counts. And have fun about it.
Yes.
I mean, I think that you got to, work really hard, but at the same time, you can party and you can get smashed face and everything, but don't forget to work hard.
There's a time and place
And
for
do not
everything.
drink, and do not drink before the show, because not everybody is a Viking. So
That's right.
that's pretty much
That's right.
what I can say.
Very, very good advice. Excellent, excellent advice, to be honest. And I'm glad that you mentioned about the recording yourself, because that's something I've been doing and been kind of preaching since like back in the days of the 90s with video cassette. Nowadays we have our iPhones and whatever, we're taking videos of the band, stuff like that. But I mean, I used to bring the big cameras you put on your shoulder, you're like a newsman, recording
Like
these things.
VHS?
Yeah, VHS. Oh yeah, I go way back. But here's the reason why. Because a lot of times, I'm sure, Charlie, you've probably played some stages and some festivals. You can probably walk off the stage thinking, oh man, that was just like horrible. Because I know everyone's had bad gigs. And sometimes they're not as bad as what you think. Maybe you had backline provided for you that wasn't yours. You weren't in the comfort zone. Maybe you were sick, whatever the case may be, and you thought you were absolutely horrible. Or one of your band members maybe thought they were horrible. And then you watch the video back and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. What was I thinking? Right? So that's a good helper to record yourself. Other times, I've said this on the show before too, is the fact that, let's say you have a car that can only go 100 miles an hour on a really, really good day. It can only go 100 miles an hour. It's not going to go any faster no matter what. But all of a sudden, one day you're going down a hill, there's wind behind you, and your car is now going 120. And that car should not be going that fast, but for some reason it is. It's like a talent level a person can possess. When something's working for you, record, because you might watch something back and you're going to look at yourself and say, I can't do that, but I did it. How is that possible that I did it? And analyze what you did. Maybe you changed something with your technique of sitting or playing or standing. Maybe you changed your tone, whatever it was. Analyze what you did and try and repeat that. And that works the opposite way with things where you fail miserably. Try to analyze that. So it's just like watching a football play in college, right? What did they do? What did they do wrong here? Where's our defense when we needed them? That kind of thing.
Of course. I think that's something that I've been doing for years, actually, recording every show. I try to record every show.
Good.
I have this little camera and I record every show, and it happens to me. I said, dude, that was horrible. But then I watch it and I say, that wasn't that horrible. And there have been shows that I said, whoa, that was amazing. And I watch it and it's like, dude, that was fucking horrible.
I know. It goes both ways, but it is important. And at the same time, too, it is nice to archive that maybe for future family members. You can pass it on to generations as well, too. But in the simplest terms, is it does help you analyze where mistakes and good things happen. And, you get caught up in the moment sometimes, and it is nice to have that record. Yeah, it's great. Well, listen, you've been a world of advice to us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I feel much better now that the time zones are aligning. I thought for some crazy reason that you were like 8 to 10 hours ahead of me, and I was thinking, man, that's really generous.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, that's good. So I'm very happy about that. Maybe what we'll do is towards springtime here, which I guess we're kind of getting close to spring here in Canada anyways. I know it's much warmer your way there. But maybe towards, we'll say April or May, I'll reach out to you again. I'll get you back on the show, and maybe at that point we can get you maybe hooked into a computer or something, and we'll get a really good audio feed from your place there, maybe a studio or a home or whatever, and then we'll get you do a couple lessons for us on the show and teach us a couple things. It'd be great.
Sounds great. I think that would be really fun.
And you can kind of tell us... Yeah, you can kind of tell us what's happened since that time, and maybe any more developments with Kramer and maybe this secret project that you're doing with those guys. It'd be kind of nice to see.
Yes, of course, of course. There's something big coming with, it's now coming with Luis Khalil, who is a great guitar player. He's a young guy from Brazil. He's a a guitar virtuoso. He's a really awesome guitar. He's 19 years old. He's awesome. I'm having two Anna Santin on bass. She's an awesome bass player. I have Devadip Chunga on drums. He's a Peruvian drummer. He's really good. And, well, Jared Dines is on the album too. So it's going to be quite a nice project. So I can wait to finish it and share it with everyone.
Well, that's going to be great. Yeah, we'll talk. And when do you anticipate roughly that'll be done, approximately?
May.
Okay, good. Well, you know what? Let's try to time it right around the release, and we can come back on and promote it, and we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, I think that would be really awesome. I think that would be really nice.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, everybody in the chat here, it feels like a Friday because I do a lot of these shows on Fridays. This is a Tuesday. I was going to say have a good weekend, but we still got a few days ahead of us. But everyone, thank you so very much for tuning in tonight and watching this great guest, Charlie Parra, here on Kramer Korner. And we invite you to tune back in. Actually, we will be live this Friday night again, 9 o'clock over in EVH. I've got Damon Johnson on the show. And then, of course, awesome. Brother Kane and Solo. And then I've got the Helix Hour, 3 o'clock Eastern on Sunday with Johnny Lee. It's going to be a lot of fun. And a lot of people saying, thank you for hosting this interview. What a treat. That's from Candace Clark. And Candace gave some nice comments earlier. So that was really awesome. Really awesome. This was a great crowd tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And it was nice. I didn't thought my English was going to flow this way tonight.
It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. There's zero barriers whatsoever. And like I said,
thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
I was worried because I talk fast and I get told that all the time. And I was going to try to talk slower for you tonight. And I don't think I did because I didn't want you to have a hard time, understanding me. I understood you like I'm talking to any of my friends here. So you did phenomenal. And the guest did too. No one said, can you have him repeat that? So it was all good. Awesome. Well, listen, don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air. And everyone, thank you so very, very much for tuning in tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. If you're new here, don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. And I promise I will work just as hard to keep you as a subscriber as I did to get you. So I'd love to have you as a new subscriber and lots of nice new faces. And you can catch out more good content on the channel here. There's different platforms, different shows for everybody. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time right here. Until then, cheers. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out our full lineup of Kramer Korner merchandise available for purchase right now at broadstash.com.